We're recording.
Okay, well, hello everybody. Kate Lemay here, and I'm here with my friend Erin, who honestly I feel like when you are like, oh, today is a really really important day, and say it was like you were running a conference of 200 million people, Erin, and this is the morning of your conference, right? And I get to be the one that talks to you right now, so I feel really sacredly special that you said yes to this opportunity via text 4 seconds ago on my phone, because I think the person who I want to talk to about this special day today is you. I was like, wow, she's going to know stuff. So
It is a
what is today, Erin? Tell me what today is.
Yeah, so it's Samhain, or more commonly known as Halloween. But Samhain is a Gaelic holiday and celebration of the end of harvest. And in a period of time where we get a little bit more introspective and look at the shadow and dark side of ourselves and really start to do some internal work. What's really neat about Samhain this year is that there's a full moon on Samhain, which couldn't be more exciting. And it hasn't happened since 1944. So it's been 76 years. So that's pretty special. I mean,
Pretty special.
that's a
Yeah.
thing.
It's a thing.
So not only is a full moon always some fairly intense, beautiful energy, but to have it on Samhain is just out of this world, right?
Like extra special.
It's
Like I woke up this morning like it was Christmas. I was like, oh my gosh, it's full moon Samhain. Now here's what's crazy. I didn't hear the word Samhain until I was at your house 2 weekends ago. But the second you said it, I was like, ooh, must look that up. And of course, when you say Samhain, you can't find it because how's it spelled, Erin? How do we spell this word?
Samhain.
Which has nothing to do with the word. I mean, it's Samhain or like whatever, right? So the other thing that's so magical that I had to share with you only in the setting, so it was recorded because I was just like, this is too cool. So at the beginning of this year, so for years and years and years, I have loved winter solstice, right? Like winter solstice to me felt even more like a holiday than any other of the Christmas holidays or the New Year's holiday, anything, right? It's like solstice. And then my sister got, Mishy got married on solstice, and my best friend Karen got married on solstice. Like solstice has a lot of humans in my life that upset, like it's a magical day, right?
Yeah.
So this year, coming into the year, I stumbled on the wheel of the year. Am I saying that right?
Yep.
And which is like, this is where Samhain fits. It's part of the year of the wheel holidays, which is, pagan. Am I saying that right? Like
pagan.
But it's I feel of it like the religion of the earth. I feel like it's the religion or a practice. I hate even using the word religion because it's too many things like art and love. Like people can go, blah, blah, blah. So I would say like it's like practices that ground us in the moon and the seasons and nature and our nature. And so when you said Samhain at the thing, I was like, oh my gosh, I bet that this is one of those things. And it was. And I was just tickled pink. So I've been sort of on a journey of like looking it up. But could you tell me a little bit like how do you my first question for you is about full moons. And could you just tell me a little bit how you do full moons? And then the second question is, what are you doing to celebrate Samhain today?
Yeah. Okay, so full moons for me, and this is my truth. It doesn't have to be yours. It doesn't have to be anybody who's watching this. I am a huge, huge, huge believer in everybody has their own truth. And I think that it's really important that you honor your own truth and you don't apologize for it and you just embrace it. Just like I think there is no person that heals you. You heal you. You find your own path and journey, and you are going to have people that support you in those things. But I'm a huge believer in your own truths and your own paths and your own journey. So I just want to get that out there. So me personally, what I do around a full moon, there's always, as we go into full moons, there's very high, intense energy. They're kind of known as like, the orgasm of the lunar cycle. So,
oh man, you use the O word.
It's an exciting time. So you're coming out of a very, very high productive time. It's the time where naturally we as humans are more productive. And so we are coming out feeling very accomplished. We are coming into the full moon feeling very high energy, very intense, very grateful oftentimes because we've been really productive. So it's a really fun energy to sit in. It can get known for some of its kind of like bad raps as far as energy goes, with the fact that it tends to be a time where we sleep less. And that, I just look at that as like, it gives us more time to be productive.
Amen.
You can be a little bit more agitated or irritated because it is high energy. And a lot of times people don't know what to do with that energy in their body. And I just think that if you have a baseline understanding of the lunar cycle and the impact that it has on your body and your world and your life, then you can embrace it and focus on the positives of it.
Yes.
And maybe adjust some things. So like I have longer runs. So I'm a runner and I have longer runs around the full moon because I need energy out of my body.
Spell it. Yeah. So it doesn't get all itchy bitchy. Yeah.
And it needs to come out in like a positive way opposed to me being cranky, right? So it's a really fun way once you figure out the lunar cycle and how it impacts you, how it impacts your loved ones, then you just kind of adjust your life a little bit to accommodate for that. So my full moon ceremonies start before the full moon because I really like that energy. I just adore the full moon energy.
Yes.
So, for me personally, I work with fairy energy a lot. I work with spirits a lot. I run a metaphysical business, an intuitive business, called Rose Quartz Mediumship. And so spirits and fairies and, other energies are very near and dear to me. So there's, a lot of celebratory energy that goes into that as well. Full moons, naturally, we see an increase in spirit communication. It's more easy for people to receive and perceive messages and communication. They're more apt to see a spirit or experience spirit communication in some capacity around a full moon. We're going to talk about it in a second, but it's also, the veil is very thin right now with Samhain. And so right now is like, I mean, it's an intense time for spirit communication. But back to your question about what do I do for full moon ceremony? I start before. There's always kind of like a buildup. I personally practice a 3-day window for moon water. There's no wrong way to do moon water, in my opinion. I do 2 days before the full moon and then 2 days after. That just works for me in my life. I really like.
Erin, that was another thing, like, just like, I think I told you the story, but like, you introduced me to moon water. So what's moon water? What? What is it?
Moon water it can be as complicated or as simple as you want it to be.
Right.
But essentially, you take water, you take it outside, you put it under the full moon and let it charge in the full moon.
Yeah. So you take
And
like a bucket of water from your house and you
can
put
do
it
anything.
outside in the moon light.
Exactly. So you can take mason jars, you can
Yep.
take buckets, you can take pots, you can take anything you want.
Yep.
I personally put mason jars out there that I'm going to drink.
Yes. Well, you taught me about drinking water, but then like if it gets too stale, I got nervous to drink the moon water. It's like been 7 months. I won't drink old moon water. Just drink the moon water from the current
from the current month. Yeah. So
and I'm gonna paint with my moon water.
Yeah. So I drink my moon water kind of like right away.
Right away. Okay.
I do. And I set quite a few out. I give it to my children.
Yep.
At this point in time, I don't have a dog. But if I had a dog, I would give it to my dog. I give it to my house. I give some to my houseplants because I think they like it.
Yes, of course. All the things that need water get the moon water.
Right. And it's just basically,
dude, I love that.
Intense high energy that you're consuming.
Neat.
And for me, it's a really pure, excited energy. And so I don't know why I wouldn't want more of that in my life. So
right. Which helps with, and one other quick question, just because I know we use this phrase, but like when you say veil is thin, like this helps with that. And what is that? Like what's veil is thin?
Yeah. So the veil being thin is essentially the difference between the spirit realm and the human realm. That difference becomes a lot smaller during the Samhain time of year. So for me personally, I noticed a pretty stark difference about 6 weeks before Samhain. Other people, that time frame can vary, depending upon the person. But most people report the month of October is a pretty intense month from a spirit communication, energetic standpoint. It is a time that we are open. The veil is so much thinner that spirits can communicate very readily with us.
Right. So
So
essentially
that can,
it's the sort of, if you were to call it a density being less between our capacity to hear or understand messages or guidance from spirit. So like in these times when we say the veil is thin, which because people say this all the time in this kind of metaphysical world, right? They talk about it anytime there's a full moon or anytime they say, oh, the veil is very thin, or like I feel like people are always saying the veil is very thin. But like that probably because I'm picking up on it because I'm looking for guidance during those times, which is why I'm probably hearing that it's like feels like it's all the time. But yeah, thank you for that. That's really great. So back to, sorry for derailing you, the your full moon practices. So we do moon water.
yep.
You do a 3-day series and you feel this stuff early and it carries through. And it's one day before the day of and the day after, or 2 days before the day of. What's your?
I personally do 2 days before the full moon and 2 days after.
Oh, nice.
That's just me because I'm like, I drink a lot of water anyways. Might as well drink moon water.
Amen. Oh my gosh. And we give it to all our things, plants, pets, kids, like spread around the moon water, high energy water. Okay.
Exactly. And you can put it in spray bottles and cleanse and clear your house. If you want the energy of your house to be cleansed and clear, you can clear crystals if you didn't set them out in the full moon. Everybody has different practices around what they believe needs to be cleared and how to clear things. But moon water is a great way to do that. You can also put a little bit of rose water in your moon water if you're clearing it. If I'm doing spirit communication and clearing a house, I certainly bring moon water. But there's moon water, there's like limitless things you can do with it.
I love it. Well, you have just enlightened me so much, and now I won't waste it.
Don't waste
it. Won't just sit on my counter being like, are you really going to drink that old water? Probably not, Kate. So no, I love that. It's wicked fun.
Your house. And you can also, like, I take a pot this time of year. I have a wood stove that runs in my house all the time. And so I take a pot of water. I have water that like sits on my wood stove anyways, because I like the moisture in my air. So I just fill it up with moon water. And then I've got moon water basically diffusing in my house all over the place.
That's a lot. That's amazing.
Yeah. And I will say, so in all of the readings that I've done in the past couple of days, I've had a lot of people who've said like, oh, I can see spirits in the background on the Zoom call, right? Because spirits oftentimes you can see them more readily when you're not looking directly at them with pointed vision. So if you're using a soft gaze or widened gaze, or if you're using a mirror, or if you're using something that's reflective, Zoom calls are very reflective. So lots of times you can see spirits in the background, especially this time of year with the veil being so thin, and I'm like diffusing moon water all over my house. And so
you're like, come on in, everybody. We're having a party and you are the main guest. I actually made my list of the people I want to connect with today. It's kind of brassy, but I put Paramanda Yogananda on the list. I don't even know if that's possible, if he make contact with me, and then I have, of course, Barbara, Mark Hubbard, and George Williams, Sir George Williams, and my grandmother Nanny, my nanny, maybe my grandpa. I actually haven't thought about him in a long time, so I'm excited to go around my home today and connect, collect things for them and see.
Put them on an altar.
Yeah, set up an altar.
The other thing that I think is really important for people to remember is that if there's a particular spirit that they are wanting to connect with, don't say, I can only work with these people, or I only want these people to come through, because sometimes a spirit is a poor communicator, or vibrationally, like you're just in a spot where you need them to bring through another spirit to help them communicate. So I always tell clients, don't limit who's going to come through. You can ask for, like what you did, saying like, I would love for these spirits to come through for me. But don't say no one else is allowed.
Only. Right. And I'm so new at this that I feel like I'm like playing. But Erin and I have worked together for a year or so now, I'd say, almost, in more this way. And what for me, I'm not quite visual yet with spirits, but I can hear things, and messages that sound like my own voice, but I know it's not my voice. You know what I mean? So I also think that some of this stuff is like, there's not 100% confidence, right? However, I think that this invitation around all these other sources and forces in our world are just such gifts to expand ourselves and just to be a little more open about things. Like if things are talking through our subconscious, do you need to handle something? Are you okay?
No, it's okay.
Okay. So, it's such an opportunity to play with things that are a little stretch from that everyday kind of, and I think so many people have stories like this and they just don't talk about it because it
Yeah.
feels weird or they're going to be judged. And it's just like maybe that was your mom coming to see you. And like, and I think in our class the other weekend, you talked about how sometimes spirits will show up like as a cardinal or as a butterfly. And the more you recognize that that person is that, and they will continue to show themselves that way. So that validation of like, I hear you, I see you, they
Oh,
but
absolutely.
I don't want to get too far down this. We could go down this week, like a 5-hour conversation. But so back to full moon, we've got moon water.
Yep.
And we've got moving it around.
Yep. So I always set out offerings for the nature beings that I work with. So that for me looks like a little teacup of wine. And then I put out strawberries or milk with honey or, maple syrup.
You really do this. Like you put this stuff out, you put it outside. And is it on the day of the moon or all the days, all these 5 days you're doing? So you're making offering altars.
Yeah.
For 5 days.
But you have to keep in mind, I work really closely with spirit and
yes. No, I know. It's why I'm talking to you.
They're an integral part of my life. So like if I'm not honoring that relationship that I have with them, and if I'm not offering gratitude and I'm not acknowledging them, I'm probably not going to get to continue to work with them.
Right. Well, and
it's reciprocal.
This stuff has been going on since humans existed.
Okay.
Yeah. This is not like, and I think people are like, I don't know. I was watching in the Yogananda, Paramanda Yogananda video from last night that I was watching. There was definitely like people would be killed for doing stuff like this at certain times, like witches or quote unquote, you know what I mean? Like anything that scared people where they're like, ah! Like you shouldn't be doing that. Like other people would try to kill you or like other people would judge you as bad. And so I just think there's also that beautifulness today in our culture that we can share this stuff and like you are a teacher for me, so I can show up super inquisitive and there's a part of me that definitely has not just run into this, but I'm guessing it's because in a past life, like I did not end well because these things were in my life. But now I'm like, well, no, it's now time and it's safer and I feel safe and I don't feel judged. And so it's pretty fun to actually invite in these kinds of sacred routines and sacred rituals in our lives because I think if you were just thinking straight up about energy, it aligns your energy with all that is, which allows it to talk to you. If it comes through spirits, if it comes through sound, if it comes through coincidence, it doesn't matter. It's that alignment of like, I am offering to connect with that which is bigger than me. And I'm going to do it in a ritualistic form. So my energy understands this in a rhythm.
Oh, right? Yeah. The ritual component of it is so wildly important because you're acknowledging it and then the universe is acknowledging, right? When we have rituals and when we have ceremony, it's like intensifies it, right?
Well, or I would say like, say it always is. Universe always is at this frequency or vibration. And we are just by being in that way, aligning with it enough to hear it or see it. Does that make sense? Am I explaining it right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, because this is the thing, like, I came this way, Erin, through making paintings.
I know you did, and I love it.
Like, I didn't get any books. I didn't know what it was. Like, I don't know, except that every time I connect with things where I'm like, yep, this is it. This is it. It's another way to see it. It's another way to play. It's another way to align. That there is this sort of validation around this intentionality and focused energy in a direction of connection that is true and real.
Yeah.
And you can do it too. Like the reason I want to talk about this is because I think it's super accessible.
Oh, I think everybody is an empath. I think this is my truth. It doesn't need to be yours or anybody else's, but my truth is that everybody's an empath. Everybody's a psychic. Everybody is a medium. Everybody has telekinetic capabilities. Everybody has telepathic capabilities. The degree in which you utilize them and the clarity in which you receive or perceive information or whatnot can vary pretty significantly. And I always give the example of like, I can play football, right? But am I going to play pro football? No. But does that
Well,
I can't play football?
you
No, I can
practice
play
it.
football and I can enjoy it and it's great.
That's
So
right.
for me, all the metaphysical gifts and capabilities, they're the same.
And
Everybody,
they strengthen with practice. They strengthen with
exactly.
aware. And if you're interested in this, like if you're already this far down the path in this video right now, you're interested in this. Like I just alarm, ding-a-ling-a-ling, like, hey, you're interested in this, or you wouldn't even be here. Like you wouldn't even be watching this right now. Right? But don't be scared.
Right.
I got right away. I was like, ah, no, not me. I'm not this. And I like run away because I was like get freaked out for a bit, you know. You made it less scary for me, Erin.
Oh, thank you. I
Yeah.
think that once you get specific things in place and you have all of the safety things addressed, spirituality and opening to all of these metaphysical gifts is life changing in a positive way. And I can't even explain. It's like it's not that doors have been opened for me. It's like whole walls are gone from the house. You know what I mean? Like it's the joy and the happiness and the peace that spirituality has brought me are I can't even articulate them.
Yeah.
And I know that that wouldn't be without having stepped into these metaphysical gifts and being on a spiritual journey and path. Um, and so I really think that it's spirituality, in my opinion, is for everybody.
Yes.
And there's no wrong way to do it.
That's right.
I do think that people should seek enough information so that they know what they're doing and they've got safety practices in place. And outside of that, there's no wrong way. Like you do it, you do you, and however it is, and don't let people tell you that it's wrong.
Yeah. And I think that the thing too is that this idea that that we can connect directly to
Yes.
is different than in a spot where it's like there is a man at the altar and the only way to get to God is through him. Like this is just a different way, right? It's like it's saying, nope, you anytime you want can connect. And
That's right.
by the way, it can be and a great practice if it's daily, because just like brushing your teeth or working out, this is a hygienic practice around your spirit. And I think so when we say like health of mind, body, and spirit, these practices are definitely not taught that much. Although when you start to look at all the different religions, there are so many the same, right? So I grew up Unitarian, which was probably the most open of the religions at the time. That, you know, and I'm a third generation Unitarian, which really allowed our family to be like, I don't have a lot of hangups around religion. I have a lot of connection with spirituality. And when I started doing this work, I was in tears all the time, every single time I touched it, until finally I wasn't in tears anymore. Because I think when I touched it, my heart was opening, water was coming out of my face, and I was just uncomfortable because I hadn't been sitting in those vibrations a lot. And I was totally like butchering my connection in order to just feel okay on the regular world. So the practices I was doing every day were not in alignment with my highest vibration. And so therefore everything around it felt uncomfortable. So that's the only other thing I would just mention is that as people are kind of toe dipping into this, it could have a lot of different sensations. And as don't run away, get help, right? Like go seek out sources. Like Erin is a great source. You know, I have so many teachers and people I work with that have helped me not just embrace it, but embrace it. And then and that is the time when my life is the best. It is when my life is the best. And it is blowing my mind, you know? So, okay. Sorry for the sidetrack. So we're back onto full moon still. We've made our moon water. We've done our practices.
Yeah. So I set out offerings. I always have some form of a ceremony on the full moon. There is always an aspect of an offering. So that could be singing, it could be drumming, could be dancing, it could be anything.
Yep.
I kind of leave that door open to see what it is that I'm inclined or get the message that is wanted.
Mm,
And for me personally, again, there's no wrong way, in my opinion, to do full moon ceremony. But what I do is if there are things that I want to release,
yes.
I personally write them on a piece of birch bark. I'm very connected to nature. It's very
Yep.
near and dear to me. So for me, birch bark works. For me, fire is an aspect that helps me to release, as is water. So those elements for me are great elements to work with. So I write on a piece of birch bark anything that I want to release, and I try and get it down to a single word if possible. So
Mm,
like if I've got fear around a particular topic, I don't write out everything. I just write fear. I want to release fear.
yeah.
And so I write the things that I want to release, and then I burn them in the full moon. And
Yeah.
and for me, I envision the fact that as I'm burning it, I am releasing that. My personal belief is that we release things that don't serve us any longer, that aren't in a vibration for us. And that gives us room to bring in stuff that is in a vibration that we want. And so I also typically have a little piece of paper that has the things that I'm wanting to either manifest or bring into my
Mm,
world. Um,
beautiful.
and again, I try and make that single words like abundance or love or joy or laughter, whatever it is that I'm trying to bring into my world. And I put that underneath the candle on my altar. Um,
Do
and
you,
I
can I
believe,
ask like a very detailed question? Do you like hold the birch bark or does it go into a pit of fire? Like how is the burning happening normally?
yeah, so I personally hold it in like I hold it in my hand and I burn it. And of course, there's no wrong way to do it.
I
I
would just be a
have,
little scared, that's all, but, like, I get it, like, if I do it light and then I have, like, a little bowl I can drop it into. Okay, great.
you can have a cauldron, you can have a fire pit, you can do it onto pavement, there's no wrong way.
Okay,
Any way that lights up your world, as long as it
okay.
doesn't literally light your
Like,
world
yeah,
on
don't burn
fire.
it up. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
I
I
love it.
personally hold it because there's an aspect of me letting it go. That's
Strong.
for me, doesn't need to be for you.
Love
So that's why I do, and then I write on a piece of paper what it is that I'm going to bring into my world in that month, and I put it underneath a candle, and I leave the candle burning. And then I actually so I have portable altars because I'm a little bit lazy. And so I don't want to have to carry stuff back and forth. So I have a portable altar, which is basically just a chunk of wood.
Yeah.
It's an ash round, and I keep rocks on my altar and a candle, and I just carry that out into the full moon. And
You do this outside,
I do it
under the full moon,
under the full moon.
but
Yes,
of course. Yes,
much of course,
of
darling.
course,
And
darling.
so I put whatever it is that I'm trying to manifest or bring into my life, and I leave that on my altar. And that way, when in the morning, I bring my altar in, and I leave it for as long as I'm inclined to leave it. And then every time I walk past my altar, because my altar is in a very high visual field for me, because I like the visual reminder of the connection with the universe and spirit and the divine. And so it sits there. And so for me, it's a reminder,
Yeah.
right? It's like whether it's conscious or subconscious, when I walk past it, there are those words that I'm trying to bring into my world. And so for me, it's just an easy way of intensifying that. I believe that spells or magic or however it is that you want, witchcraft, whatever it is that you call that, it's really just intense um, prayer or intense intention.
Mm,
And it's really not that different from praying.
mm.
So sometimes people say like, "Oh, that's spell work." Well, writing words that I want to bring into my life, and welcoming that very intensely into my world. Um, sure, that's spell work. It's also
Well,
prayer, and it's also spirituality, and it's also like I
Well,
think
and cognitively, right? So science, like go into science for a minute. Like if I'm like, this is the story about the red truck, right? So you buy a red Ford truck, right? What do you see all over the road after you buy that red Ford truck?
red trucks.
Red Ford trucks. Did you see? Were they there before?
Oh yes, you just didn't
They
see
were,
it.
of course, there before, but you just didn't see them because you weren't focusing on one. So I do think I I know there is something way beyond me that when we tap in, like, I love it. Like and I think it happens all day, every day, all the time. You just have to keep your eyes open. But when we are not in these moments where we're kind of focusing on the red trucks, right? It can feel like everything's awful and everything's horrible and but the truth of it isn't. That is also a reality. Except it's, what are you driving? Are you in your red truck and you're looking for the other red trucks, or are you looking at how crappy everything is? And so cognitively, these little reminders, like we have the necklace in the club that we're in, and then the paintings, and then the altars, and the words, and the things on the paper, and the things we release, and the things we're manifesting, all of it is a way to align energy, which is real. Energy is real. And whether we decide it's going to be like wasted and dribbled out in like practices that are not serving us, or the intention around those directive, sacred awarenesses almost at every moment of our day. And I do want to say, I just want to like you do this really well, Erin, which is why I'm talking to you today. I feel like I'm like a hypocrite because I'm such an imposter. Like, I'm actually full of half anxiety all the time and half amazingness, but I think I'm about to shift into the next level. I can feel it. But I also think that maybe my existence has a little more tortured soul in it. Like, it's, I was listening to Krishna Das's story also yesterday, and he's a singer who chants. He had a very tortured life. And then when he met his guru Maharishi, I'm definitely butchering all these names, but he felt for the first time ever peace in his life. But the only other time he felt peace is when he was smoking crack. Like, I think, and then when Maharishi died, he felt peace singing and chanting to Maharishi. And he did hear, when he was leaving India for the last time, when he did, the last time he didn't see Maharishi anymore, he heard, "You will sing to me." But he didn't understand it. And it was years, maybe a decade later, Erin, that before he started singing, and then all of a sudden the peace came in. And I think that this is the piece for me where I just am very passionate about it, because I've been on both sides of this fence, as have you. You just are living a little more in this aligned side, I'd say, lately, like mostly you're over there. But that this stuff is super accessible.
It is
to everyone. It's red truck, right? It's not like it's, so I like the word magic. I like it. I like the word spell. I like it. Not as much spell. I get nervous. I'm anything with witch. I get nervous. Like, because I'm probably like totally in denial about everything I am. But it's like this thing about this intentionality and practice and ritual around that which we want to release and that which we want to draw in during times where in nature, where it is a particular higher frequency, where it's working with us in this process. I like working with Kate Northrup and her Do Less. It's all about the moon cycles and honoring. So it's pretty real. This part of it, like our truth, maybe not everyone's truth, but just like nature's got rhythm, and you can be in it or fight it. That's enjoy it, use it for, in both ways. So, okay, so we've got the ceremony at night. We're doing all these intentional things. We're outside, we're at the moon, we're lighting our own fire because it feels the release. And then what?
And then I sleep. No, but truly, like, I have a ceremony, the duration of it can vary pretty wildly. Sometimes I'm out there for 10 minutes, sometimes I'm out there for an hour and a half. It varies. What I need, what kind of healing I need, what I'm going through, what I need to release, what I need to bring in, what the spirits and the energy that are around me need and want. And so it all goes into that. And then, I leave the altar out there at night. If it's raining, I do set out stones and crystals when it's raining even, and I set out my moon water. I believe that then you just get some different intense moon water, whether it's snowing or raining. I just take that fog, drink that. I just think it's what it's supposed to be. But I wouldn't put out anything that would be ruined in the rain. You can put it in windowsills or whatnot. And then I just try to, like, I leave that piece of paper on my altar. And sometimes I leave it there for 3 days. Sometimes I leave it there for the month.
Yeah.
And when I feel like I've seen it enough and I've embraced it enough and I've felt it in my body enough, then
It almost naturally has its
exactly,
own timing. Yeah, yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in listening to your body.
Mhm.
It's one of the first things that I teach whenever I'm teaching or coaching with somebody or whatnot. Um, your body is the best tool you'll ever have. It is the best tool you will ever have. It's the best divination tool. It's the
It
best
is the
therapeutic tool.
tool. It's
It
the
is a
tool.
tool.
We
It's
were
the
born with it.
tool.
That's what the chakras are, like, and
You're a
that's,
tool.
oh my God, we're all tools.
I know for
I
sure.
love that actually so much. I don't know if I've ever heard it said just like that. I love that so much. We're all tools.
We are tools. And I just think that listening to your body and embracing your body, just like listening to nature and working with nature, working with the cycles. I'm very connected to nature, so it's something
All are.
I'm
We are
very
nature.
inspired.
Our nature
Yeah,
is nature. That's why we're connected.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's my truth for sure.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I think it's real because biologically we're nature. So I'm like not even letting that not be a thing. I'm like, this is the truth. You come from nature. You're part of nature. You are nature. That's why it's important. That's why it feels so good to spend time in nature because it's actually a great way to sync up. So
that's right.
what about, do you journal at all as part of
I
this
do
process?
for
Yeah,
sure.
tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I try to do kind of like automatic writing,
Mhm.
which you guys sometimes see come out in the form of blogs, right? So if you read any of my blogs, some of those are written during journaling episodes around a full moon. Sometimes I write things for spirits that I'm working with. So I work with a couple of spirits who actually do a lot of writing through me and with me. And so I journal for them as well as, there are two spirits that really like to write through me. One of which has published multiple books, and he's fabulous, and he has words that he wants to come out for the world, and so we're working through that. And so I journal for myself, and I try to really step sideways in my brain and allow
Yeah, so
whatever comes
automatic
through.
writing is like
Exactly. Um,
stepping sideways and just writing what you hear, or it's almost like you don't even hear it. It's so fast. It just comes out and then you like at the end you get to kind of absorb what just happened.
Yeah. And then I personally read it back to myself.
Mm,
Some people don't look at it again. Some people look at it a lot. I personally read it back to myself. And then, depending upon what's in there,
mm,
depending upon where I am on my journey, my journey involved a period of time where I did a lot of shadow work and a lot of wound and trauma healing, and came out the other side happy, like not a little happy, like happy, 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 genuinely happy. And so some of those journal entries and some of those automatic writing sessions, I couldn't tolerate looking at for a period of time. And so they would go months without me looking at them. And other ones I read every day. So for me, again, there's no wrong way to do it. It's like whatever you're drawn to doing.
beautiful.
So
And
that's really like my
that's what you
goal.
mean by we can heal. Like we can heal because there's processes and practices that we can do that will allow that's kind of subconscious in us, the connected to that which is greater than us messaging that we need to hear, which I find I get because I'm a super learner. I just want to be listening and learning all the time. And then the practice of connecting to myself, which is where I'm not as strong, is like where I get the most. Like it's like, hello, are you listening? We're communicating to you, and it's when I reread it, it's almost like a light switch can happen where it's just like, and we have now absorbed this, and
That's
there's
right.
so we could this again, that could be another 5-hour conversation. Okay, so the journal, this is a process of releasing and receiving,
Yep.
connecting to nature, using the moon as part of our cycle
Yep.
of awareness by the month, which by the way is a great practice.
Yep.
Even like read business books. They tell you to do this too. It's just they're not going to maybe use these words.
Exactly. These different
And
words, same
that's
content.
it. But it's all the same stuff,
Yep.
right? Where except for me, this feels wicked fun and like a treat and treasure versus like a it doesn't feel weighty. Do you know what
No,
I mean?
it feels very fun to me too.
Right.
And I actually probably have like 2 minutes and then I gotta
Okay. Oh my gosh, Salwin. What do we got?
Yeah, so because COVID, we are doing Samhain at our house. We're celebrating Samhain at our house, and my family is coming over, and we're gonna do a lunch, and we're gonna do a scavenger hunt. And really kind of funny, if you follow me on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, I'll be posting later. It snowed here yesterday, which it did in a lot of New Hampshire and Vermont. And my kids made a labyrinth out of snow in the backyard. So we're going to play with that too. And obviously there'll be some candles on that sucker tonight with the full moon.
That's great.
So 1 second. Okay, honey. I have to go.
That's okay. And you know what we can do, Erin, is I'll link a couple links into Samhain into this post, and people can look it up and see what else we can find. But you know what? Thank you so much for your time about the full moon, and you are amazing. And I hope you have an incredible day today with your family and with all this beautiful energy and the spirits.
You too.
Thanks,
I hope
Erin.
you connect with everybody on your paper, and I hope you have a fabulous time with family and friends and spirits. And I appreciate you asking me to do this with you today. It was really fun.
I love you.
Love you too.
Okay, bye.